here, we'll be ready.
Okay.
Let's go back here. So hey guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Lane's running a little bit late, but Matt is his business partner, and we're going to go ahead and talk about Signal Genesys press releases, everything today. And I'm going to let Matt take it from here. When Lane gets in, I will let him in, and we'll have I'm pretty sure he has a PowerPoint presentation, everything. He does offers whenever we do this, and he's going to explain a little bit of everything, him and Matt. So give them your full attention. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll get to them once we're done. All right, Matt, you got it.
Okay. Thanks, William.
Yes,
good to
sir.
be back here. Glad to see you guys rolling out again. This is awesome. So my name is Matt. I am co-founder of Signal Genesys, and we're glad to be here and present to you. Lane will be jumping in, and he has a full slide deck and presentation. We can go ahead and answer anyone's questions, anything that may come up. In the meantime, I'll just give you guys a high-level overview. Signal Genesys is a signal generation engine and platform with a strong emphasis on content. So we started off as Quantum Newswire, which was a PR publication platform. And from the very beginning, you know, our intent and even our strategy and implementation was always much more than just press releases. Press releases are extremely powerful, but we kind of turned it upside down and did an entirely new implementation and strategy, with the primary focus being on SEO, and SEO exclusively for agencies. So we are the only platform that serves only agencies. All the other platforms out there, which we wouldn't necessarily consider apples and oranges, we are apples and oranges, but we only serve the agency community because we have been an agency, and we understand all of the unique needs and dynamics that an agency has, particularly the need for scalability, automation, and ultimately results. So that's our focus, is really serving the agency community. And obviously William is doing the same thing from an educational standpoint. So we have great synergy, and I don't know if there's any, so in this particular group, William, should I be starting off from the very beginning, or
literally from the very beginning, because we just started and it's brand new. So these guys, some of them will have some background and some of them are brand spanking new. So yeah, the very beginning is best.
All right. Well, I'll start off with a quote that's probably in Lane's slide deck, but you guys have all probably heard, you know, sort of that idiom in the SEO or digital marketing world: content is king. And my business partner Lane coined a follow-up to that. So if content is king, then distribution is queen, and she wears the pants. Kind of a funny little thing, but it's true. You can have the best content in the world, but if you can't distribute it to the proper places in the right way, then it's kind of like you know, having building a really great business and having no roads go by in the front of it. Or in our case, in the digital agency world, you know, those clients that want a shiny new website, and they pay you 5, 10, 15K for a website, and they expect that all of a sudden it's going to be lit up with traffic and conversions, and they didn't pay you for that. Not really understanding that building a website is one thing, and then driving traffic, as particularly qualified targeted traffic, is entirely another thing. And you know, what are the 3 primary ways to drive traffic to a website? Well, a lot of businesses, especially professionals like attorneys and doctors and so forth, they depend on referrals, and that's effective, but that's not scalable and that's not predictable, right? Even, you know, professionals that provide really great service, of course they're going to get, you know, leads. Plumbers and home service industry, it's going to generate leads, but it's just not predictable. It's not scalable. It's not a way to build a business. So that's where you guys come in. That's where you guys gain the additional insights that you need through William's training, especially with the emphasis on GMB. I mean, Google My Business, obviously, and the 3-pack are a primary source and means of generating qualified traffic within the Google ecosystem. And of course, we shouldn't forget about Bing and Yahoo. They still represent 30% of all the traffic to a website. So that's not insignificant, but if you want to go after the low-hanging fruit, that's obviously where William has come in and is focusing a vast majority of education and training on that, right, William?
William, you there?
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
William, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Lane, can you
I'm
hear me?
here. I'm
Okay.
here.
Hey, William.
All right, I'll finish up that thought. Go ahead.
William, let me share my screen if you can, please.
Yeah, give me 1 second, bud. You're good.
All right, cool. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll close that thought out and then let Lane get started here. So I was just going over the 3 primary types of traffic. After the agency builds the website and the client expects, okay, the website includes traffic and everything else, when that was never really communicated. So it's referrals are the most basic, but then from there you have PPC traffic, and then you have organic traffic. And really, that's where Signal Genesys comes in. Our focus is on the organic and the SEO. And we really don't like using the term SEO so much, even though it's the most commonly used and understood. We prefer to use the word web presence because it is more robust and more strategic than SEO. And Signal Genesys, although it is a technology platform, it includes a massive amount of strategy. That's where we really come in and provide the additional value add-on to agencies. Is having been a very large agency, we know what it takes to get it done and to get results, and also to help you guys as agencies communicate those results in a way that is understood and appreciated. All of your hard work, all the additional services and strategy that you guys bring, we help kind of join in and provide you a means of communicating and displaying those deliverables, so that you not only continue to scale your agency, but a lot of agencies kind of focus on new client acquisition, which you should. But there's a bunch of like Gartner polls, enterprise marketing entity, and they said digital professionals and businesses should spend a lot more money maintaining the clients that they already have, retaining, so that you don't have so much attrition. And that's another part of our overall strategy, is helping agencies retain the customers that you have. So as you scale and acquire new customers, you continue to maintain the ones that you already have, because those best customers are already paying.
And the way to do that, as Matt's saying, is that we retain customers is to get results from them and then communicate those results and communicate the value you're providing them. You get results, you communicate the value, the results you're getting them, they keep paying you month over month, right? So that's, that really was the key to what we were trying to do as an agency going back when we developed what was then Quantum Newswire, now Signal Genesys, was how do we make SEO easier in a sense where how do we get the results, how do we move the needle in an easier way so that we don't have to do so much manual work. And then once we get the results, how do we communicate that value and how do we keep that client sticky to us month over month so that they know that, hey, I'm getting these results because of the agency that's helping me get those results. Because so often a client, after 3 or 4 or 5 months, you getting results from them, they kind of think, well, that must just be happening because I'm so good as a company, right? And in reality, there's a lot of things going on in the background they have no idea that are happening to move their Google listing from page 3 to page 2 to page 1 or whatever the case may be there. I'll jump in here as I'm getting involved here with this webinar tonight. Matt was talking about how we look at this as web presence, not just SEO. When your SEO today is so much more sophisticated than having a website and some content and some links. And going back to 2015, we kind of realized that Google's algorithm was becoming much more sophisticated than just saying, hey, let's put up a good website, let's put up some content, let's drive some links to it, let's rank on page one. And in Moz's research, some of you have been with us or have been around us for a while. This is going to be nothing new, but for those of you who are new in Williams training and in the GMB Reloaded class, this may be a little bit new to you, but Moz started coming out with this annual ranking factor study every year going back to 2012. And in those first 3 years, as they started to come out with this study, I started watching this and looking at this and going, this really makes sense. That Google's algorithm, so between 2012 and 2015, what happened? Well, I don't even know if I have it in this slide deck. Let me bring up a different slide deck. But between 2012 and 2015, what happened was some massive changes in the overall online ecosystem. Like it was huge. For those of you who weren't in the online business then, you may recall this, but just not be really aware of it. But in 2011, I was already in business. I had my digital agency starting in 2010. But in 2011, there was approximately 150 online, solutions for marketing technology. And then in 2012, we had 350, and then it just began to explode over the next 6 years, 7 years. This was, concurrent with the explosion of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. All of those social platforms exploded between 2011 and 2015. Google My Business, well, GMB, Google Places, then became Google Maps over time. But, Google Places, blew up in 2011. And then all the review sites and all the social sites, and then all of the directory listing sites. So, all of a sudden in literally 4 years, you have what was once just a website, some content and some links became website content, links, plus directory listings, plus reviews, plus Google Places, plus all these social platforms. And so all of a sudden, all these different categories of an online presence evolved. And this literally happened in 4 years. And so Google's algorithm really matured very quickly and evolved very quickly in those 4 years, and that it began to look for all these different categories of signals. So before Google Places, there wasn't even any such thing as Google My Business signals. That would have been called Google Places signals back in 2011, 2012, 2013. Today it's GMB, thus GMB, Reloaded, the GMB Masterclass. But, just 7-8 years ago, it was Google Places. That whole category of signals didn't even exist 7-8 years ago. Now it exists, and now it's the most influential category that actually influences the map pack rankings. So if you can't generate signals inside the Google My Business signals category, you've already lost. You've already lost the game. You have to be able to generate signals, powerful, authoritative signals within this GMB category, or you're not even gonna make the map pack. And therefore, anything else you do in categories 2 through 8 aren't really going to make a difference, because this literally today is running almost 30% of the map pack rankings are generated through GMB signals. Thus, this is why what William's teaching in his classes is so critically important. These are all signals that he's teaching you to generate around how to optimize your Google My Business listing, how to create local pages on your website, so if you can't do a good job in generating signals, at least in these top 4, you've already lost the game. GMB is the most important, but link. And so, this link signals, we know this has always been important. This has been important going back 15 years. links have never stopped being important. They're just as important today as they ever were. And this was one of the biggest problems we had as in our own agency going back to pre-2018 was generating link signals on a regular monthly basis in a way that wasn't highly manual, wasn't really complicated or expensive, or all three. So generating link signals, as you can see in the map pack, is number 2 in influence. In organic, it's number 1. So we have to be able to do a good job in generating link signals on an ongoing monthly basis as an agency for our different client campaigns. And if we can't, or we don't, we're not going to drive rankings. So we have to be able to do that. So as we go through this list from number 1 all the way down to number 8, what we did going back to 2016 when Matt and I began to develop then Quantum Newswire, today Signal Genesys, was how many different categories of signals can we actually generate signals in with one piece of content. So today, what we've developed is a content generation engine. You simply push content through it, into it, through it, hit the publish button, and then once you hit publish, signals are going to be generated in all of these categories with one article of content. How do we do that? Well, I'll give you some examples. Number 1, we developed a Google Map API integration. So we're directly generating GMB signals, authoritative GMB signals, through a Google Map API integration that generates GMB signals that are more authoritative than a lot of other signals that could be generated inside this one category. A direct map API integration is one of the most powerful signals you can generate. On top of that, we allow you to also pull in images from a GMB post. So when you post a new post through a Google listing, you can attach an image or include an image in that GMB post. We allow you to take that image from a previous published post and bring that image into a new article or press release on our platform, and I'll show you how in a second. When Google crawls that page on, let's say, NBC or CBS, it's not only seeing that image, it's seeing that image on a high authoritative site, a site that has, a DA or a DR of 60, 70, 80, even potentially 85, 90. So that image signal is not only an image signal, but it's also a link signal, because that image is coming from a link that's an image source, and it's also coming from a related GMB post. So we're driving a link signal, a GMB signal, and a separate image signal, all with one image that we bring into an article. That we actually provide how to do that right into our blueprint. So when you get your own account inside Signal Genesys, this is what an account looks like. You have a knowledge base here, and in the knowledge base, we have a getting started category. And then in the getting started category, we have this checklist. In this checklist, we have literally how to get started and how to literally just start going one by one, how to start ranking anything you want to rank using this platform. But much of that is how to actually just simply get your entity in here. So once you have an account, you add a client entity. Let's just say this is a new client. You add the new client in here. You would add the client in here with exact information as you have in their Google listing. So we typically will just pull up the Google listing. So let's just say we were going to do a new I can't spell there. We were going to do a new entity here for this agency here. So what I would typically do is I'd pull up the Google listing, and I just literally do a copy and paste from here. So Quantum Agency is the name of the business. We put that right here in the entity name. Entity address, all that is the same as exactly what's in here in the GMB listing. That's exactly what's in here. All of the same as information. So all of our social. What we're literally doing here, just so you guys know, as we add this entity into Signal Genesys, all of this information that you're adding here is going to literally be used in markup in the future as you begin to publish content through the engine. We're going to use, this is organizational markup, same as markup, organizational markup here. That markup is going on to the live media sites. It's going into the media room that you deploy for this entity, and Google's actually going to find all that markup as well. So what you add here is really important to be identical to what you have in your Google listing for whatever entity you're adding in here. Once you add this entity information once, it's then saved in here forever. So you don't have to go in and enter it, a second, a third, a fourth time. Once you have that entity in your agency level account inside Signal Genesys, then you can begin to deploy different media channels or app channels, as we call them here. And then once this entity is in here, you can begin to send out press releases. And then very soon here, you'll be able to actually to author and publish social posts and blog posts as well. The big vision with this is add the entity in here as an agency. Once you have the entity in here, connect their or deploy their media room, connect their Facebook account, connect their Twitter account, connect their Instagram account, connect their Reddit account, connect their Google account, maybe implement and deploy a knowledge base and help center. But once you have all these things connected and deployed, now you just simply feed the engine with content, hit publish, and walk away. That's it. That's it. All you have to do is feed content into the engine and walk away. Once all these things are connected and deployed, our system will publish the content out to the media room, the Facebook account, the Twitter account, the Reddit account, the Google account, with markup included and with interlinking included. And once this goes out to the press release as a press release, also inside the media room, I'll go to this exact media room here. You also have some direct news site integrations as well. So with the media room, once that's deployed, you have these, this media room here that's deployed. You have these different articles in here. If we click into one of these articles, the news site integrations is right here in the news. You can see all these different news sites that are actually directly integrated with this article on a live news site or a live radio site or a live newspaper site. We have basically news sites, newspaper sites, radio station sites, and some niche newspaper or magazine sites inside the overall network. So once you add an entity into your account and add a media room, you can then go to a press releases and you can begin to deploy content. Once you deploy content through the engine and hit publish, our system does the rest of the signal generation. What are we literally doing? Well, we're literally, with that one piece of content or press release, generating signals in all of these different categories. We're generating Google My Business signals, link signals, review signals, on-page signals, citation signals, behavioral signals, and social signals. Personalization just happens as part of the overall effect of doing everything else. How does this actually see itself or flesh itself out? Well, all right, here's an image signal. Here's a link signal. Here's a link signal. Here's a link signal. Here's a map, or I'm sorry, a GMB signal. Here's a GMB signal with the map API. Here's a citation signal. Here are on-page signals. These are all marked up with H tags, H1, H2, H3, H4, whatever. All right, so literally as we go through this checklist of signals that Google can find on any given page of content it crawls and renders, we can generate GMB signals, link signals, review signals, on-page signals, citation signals, behavioral and social signals. And that was the overall strategy that we baked into the technology so that when you feed an article of content into the engine, that will publish to a media room. And then that media room goes out to, as a press release to multiple news sites. If you have Reddit and Twitter and Google My Business connected, you're also going to start to generate review signals and social signals. And all of these different categories get checked off with that one piece of content. Okay, so that is a quick, maybe not so quick overview of what we're doing with the technology, with the content that you drill into it, and once you publish it, what's happening. So we've got a bunch of questions here. Let's just jump into questions. So let's see here. Let me get to the first question. Alvin says, can we use duplicate article content, but different keyword plus city headlines? Would pushing PR to a mass page site help? I have a 300K mass page site. Matt says, yes, you could absolutely use duplicate content because attribution is properly designated. Matt, why don't you just jump in here real quick if you want and maybe answer Alvin's question, and I can navigate if we need to. Matt, you there? All right, I don't know where Matt went. So the answer is yes, you can, Alvin. Let's just say in here, if in your agency account you have an entity with multiple locations. Okay, so we do have this application in many ways. We do a lot with ServPro for some of our white label stuff. So let's just say you had a ServPro franchise and you had multiple locations and you had one piece of content, but you wanted to make that applicable to 10 different locations, 10 different ServPro franchisees. Matt, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
my mic was temporarily locked. All right, I'm good now. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of considerations as to how the duplicate the agency desires to use that content. Kind of going along with what Lane was sharing as a one particular use case. If it was a ServPro, let's say that you were an agency and you're managing 20 franchise locations, right? If you had a common site for those ServPros, if you had unique location pages and they were properly marked up, then you could use the duplicate content, changing, the city and header information, but that would have to be implemented properly on a singular site that had numerous location pages. If you're managing unique location pages on different domain names, different root level TLDs, then it would have a different execution there as well. So it kind of depends on what else is going on. So the Signal Genesys platform can adapt. It's a very flexible tool, but there's lots of different ways to implement, and it really depends on sort of the rest of the whole. Signal Genesys can fill a lot of voids and automate and help scale a lot of tactics. But it really depends on, what else. If you guys have any specific use cases that you want us to address, other than, say the franchise model, then, we can reflect upon that. I can share one other use case. There's a large, I'm trying to remember the term here, union. There's a large union service related, for electricians, large union in the upper Northeast that we consulted on. And that union was dealing with hundreds of different contractors all on one site. And they all sort of had their own sort of entity or company, page listing. And then there was a broad city and service pages that were being communicated across all the different, I think, 265 cities and over 30 different services. And the goal there for this particular group or organization was to really improve and have a place for their PPC campaign. So, they wanted, literally there's 8,000 pages, and they wanted, there to be a unique landing page for every single keyword, service, and city, and it's all duplicate content. And their main focus was not SEO or ranking in that particular case. It was just having a unique or non-unique, non-indexed service page to better optimize and convert the lead that was generated through the PPC campaigns.
Here's to Alvin's question. Here is one company site with 3 locations, one site, 3 locations, 3 different media rooms, 1 for each location. You could, Alvin, theoretically take 1 article of content each month, spin it once, or spin it twice, spin it twice, and then add your geo modifiers to it. Here we've got Alpharetta, Marietta, and Ackworth as the example. So you create 1 article of content, spin it twice, add your geo modifiers to the 2 different spun instances, and then run it out as a separate press release to all 3 locations. Really, you got 1 article of content, spun twice, add your geo modifiers in. Now it's semi-unique, quasi-unique content, not a problem at all. We do that for some of our campaigns, and we see of the 7, actually we have 900 plus agencies using Signal Genesys. We see that many of the larger agencies who are doing multi-location are doing just that. They'll create 1 article of content, spin it twice, 3 times, 5 times, maybe as many as even 10 times, add their geo modifiers in, and then go. So not a problem doing that. As long as you have the geo modifiers there, spinning it is good because you still have somewhat of a new unique article anyway. You add your geo modifiers in, it's more unique, and off you go. So hopefully that helps. Ivan says, publish the PR and get it in the media room and then change internal links later. The answer is yes. On our platform, that is possible. It's not possible on any other platform that we know of. So I'm inside an event agency account, as you guys can see my screen here. Here's an actual published press release. So it's already live out on the media sites. As you can see here, if I click on this gear icon, I can click on edit. So if I click on edit, it's going to take me into an edit screen. And the only thing I can't edit is the headline and the blog headline. All right. Everything else in the body of the article, I can actually edit, including links. So I could change this link here. Well, change this link here as I see fit, change it to whatever else I want, save it, and then go to my last step here, which is to review it and then publish it away. Okay. So the answer to your question, Ivan, is yes, you can publish a PR once that press release has actually been published live in the media room, live out on the live media or news sites. Yes, you can come back in here and hit edit and change the links, change the majority of that content if you wanted to. The only thing you can't change is the headline and the blog headline. Okay, so David, question. How newsworthy does the press release need to be? If it doesn't need to be as newsworthy as a traditional PR, what kind of content would you recommend pushing through the network? Good question, David. We're way more liberal than the average PR platform that you may have used in the past. So, if you've used any of these other services before, this is where David's question comes from. Most of these platforms require your content to be, fairly newsworthy. Like, is it an announcement, a new event, something that really is newsworthy? On our platform, that's not really a requirement. On our platform, it just needs to be good, original, quality content, written in third person. So as long as it's good, original content and it's written in third person, not first person, it is going to get through, our checks and balances, so to speak. So that's really all that's needed. It doesn't need to be like an announcement or a super newsworthy type of article. If you look here in our media room for Quantum Agency, just look at these titles and tell me if these are the typical newsworthy type of announcements in a typical like news and press release site, right? And the answer is no, they're not. These are more like blog articles, but they're written in third person and they're good quality original content. So we're writing, like good tips, like, and that's one of the things, like, actually this article doesn't even have it, but like, 10 tips to skyrocket your revenue would probably have been a better title than even this one. But and then you got, tip number 1, tip number 2. So, and these are marked up with H tags, right? This is probably H3, 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 so on and so forth. We got an image down here, probably an H4 right here. But again, to your point, David, not like extremely newsworthy, more educational, informal, more advertorial in nature than really newsworthy. So no need on our platform. Just make a good quality content, make sure it's written in third person, and just make sure it's not prohibited content. Aiden's question, are there any example or sample PRs to see how to best design the press releases using Signal Genesys? So, yes, Aiden, good question. Number 1, if you go inside your account and you go up to the mortarboard or graduate hat icon, you go the knowledge base. If you go to getting started and you hit the getting started checklist, step number 5 has this Google Doc here. All right. This Google Doc here, if you just open this is this 10 simple steps to ranking anything. Okay. So it's a pretty robust document here. Number 1, the first page are the 10 steps, exactly what to do in order to rank anything. The second page here is expert tips to optimize your articles. All right. So this is 14 steps. And this second page here really goes through everything that I do and everything that I have mandated to our writing team that they need to do when they write an article for Signal Genesys or for us as an SEO campaign. So if you follow this blueprint here, in terms of how to structure your content, and then just follow the blueprint here in terms of the order of what to do, you're going to be able to rank pretty much anything with our platform. At the very bottom of this blueprint, I actually give you our 3-part case study video series, which goes through exactly how I ranked a page that didn't exist on day 0. I ranked it in under 70 days for a global keyword. So it wasn't even a local keyword. It wasn't local in geography, map pack. It was a global, national level keyword. It happens to be Google stacking. So if I type in, actually, let me go to incognito just to show you, because we can influence that through a non-incognito. But if we go to Google stacking as the keyword, you'll see our page here is number 1. Okay. How I achieve that is right here in this 3-part case study series. Okay. But this page here is ranking in the number 1 spot for all sorts of keywords. Number 1. number 1, number 2, number 3. All right, well, I'll take the top 3 spots. Let's see here, Google Asset Stacking or Google Assets. Yeah. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. All right, so you guys get the idea. I mean, this has got 5,400 searches per month. All right. And we're ranking number 1. And I achieved those rankings in under 70 days for a global keyword using nothing but this one page of content right here, this article, this blog post, which I'll click on. All right. This blog post here and 3 successive press releases that went out over time. So what is that right here? That's this 10 simple steps. So number 1, add the company or the entity into your Signal Genesys account. All right. Just go ahead and add that entity into your account. That's the first step. Number 2, fully complete that form as much as possible. Why? Because we're going to actually use that information in that entity creation form for a markup. So make sure it's complete. Make sure it's accurate. Number 3, deploy the media room for that company or that entity on their actual website or their domain. Okay. How to do that? Here's the tutorial video, exactly how to do that. Number 4, once you've got that all done, now write the first article or press release for that company. Here's the tutorial video on how to do that. And here's some instructions on what you should do for that. So on and so forth. So if you follow the process, you follow the way to actually structure your content inside of our platform, you're going to get rankings. Guaranteed. I'll let William or somebody else who maybe uses our platform speak to that as well. But I give you the proof right here on how I did that for a global keyword and ranked a page that today is in the number 1 spot for a whole bunch of different keywords, but didn't exist on that day 0 when I actually created that first blog article. So that's literally how to do it. And you don't have to use super newsworthy content to do that in our system. Alvin says, what kind of black hat can we do with these PRs? I mean, black hat is black hat. So, let me, so I'll give you one thing we're doing right now. I wouldn't really consider it black hat, but let me show you what we're doing. I think it's in this one here. Okay. Yeah, it's in this first. So this is a new strategy. We're testing it out right now. I don't have any results yet, but I'm sure it's going to work great. So you can see this third link here is our first do follow link. So these first links here these first 2 links are no follows. Okay. This first do follow link actually leads to a PDF of the press release inside a public Google Drive folder. Okay, so let me go back here. We've got a press release. It's published to the media room, but the first do follow link is leading to an exact replica of this content in PDF form in a public Google Drive folder. Okay, here's that press release. It's in PDF form. It's in a public Google Drive folder. Also in this public Google Drive folder is a Google Doc of the same press release. Also a public link, okay? So that Google can crawl it. So what we're doing now is we've published a press release. We've put the first do follow link leading to a public PDF in a public Google Drive folder. And now we're driving tons of links to this public PDF. Maybe you consider that black hat. I don't know, but Google, you can throw as many links as this public PDF as you want. All right, it's on a Google Drive asset. Google is not going to like penalize itself. So you can throw every link you want at this public Google Drive folder, and it's going to have an effect. So that's what we're doing. So that's a new strategy. I'm giving you insight into it. I don't have results on it yet, but I know it's going to work probably really good. So that's an example of something you might consider maybe black hat, but you know, whatever. Go ahead, Matt. Matt, you got something to say? You got to unmute yourself again. All right, I don't know what that's with Matt again. So Trevor says, so if I have a mortgage site that serves statewide and I have specific cities that I've built location landing pages for, can I use the same article for each location page while changing out the location data? The answer is probably yes, Trevor. The answer is probably yes, but go slow with it and experiment. In other words, use that same article of content, change your geo modifiers, run it through once, and then test and make sure that everything goes the way you're wanting it to. But the answer is probably a probable yes. Alvin says, how do you get penalized by Google for using PR? What not to do? In our system, there's really not much you can do to hurt yourself because we've shut, like one of the things that you can't do in our platform, if you go in and you create a new press release and you hit create from scratch, which I'll just jump into one here that's already kind of from scratch. Like if I go to step 2 and you try to add, like say 5 or 10 do follow links into the body of this article, our system would limit you to 3. Okay. So we actually had that happening before, where, you know, somebody would go in and have every single link be a do follow link. Like in this link or in this article, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different links, but only 2 of them are sorry. Well, this shouldn't be the case. This is in draft mode, so that's why. But you know, typically it's only going to allow we're only going to do 2 or 3 do follow links inside of an article. So our system is not going to allow you to do more than 3, to my knowledge that we have. So if you wanted to do 5 or 10 do follow links and you didn't know any better and you thought that was a good thing, our system's not going to allow you to do that. So that's just kind of one thing. What are some other things not to do? Use your do follows very carefully, because do follows are actually transmitting or pushing link juice or authority. So you don't want to dilute those. I mean, we allow a maximum of 3, but we in our internal SOPs we only use 2. So that would just be my suggestion, is that you only use 2 do follow links in your articles, so that you really push as much authority to those two links as possible. The more do follow links you add into an article, the more you're going to dilute your juice. So that would be one thing not to do. Another thing I wouldn't do, we've already talked about this a little bit, but I wouldn't use the same piece of content more than 10 times. Meaning, if you use one article and spin it 9 times, I wouldn't spin it more than 9 times. You're gonna have diminishing returns there. So if you were trying to use one article of content for 20 locations, I wouldn't do that. I would spend the extra money, develop a second article of content, use 2 for 20 sites or 20 locations versus 1 for 20. So just, a couple of, maybe things there that you might look at. Hey, William, can you please unmute Matt? He's saying he can't unmute himself. Maybe I can do it here too, because I'm the host now too. So let me try and do that. Matt was saying he was trying to speak and he couldn't unmute himself. 1 second there. All right, Matt, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hello?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. All right, so I wanted to address a couple of really good questions that are important. I think, they'll be important for everyone to hear. So let's see, the question was asked by, it was regarding Omega Indexer. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? So the question was, I'm trying to see who wrote it, but you know who you are. I do not see it in the thread. So the question was, should you submit the PRs to Omega Indexer to help boost with indexing? So something extremely unique that everyone needs to know, how we manage PRs very differently. The reason that we do not emphasize links or SERPs or indexing and the emphasis on signals is because we intentionally do not index PRs. So I know this is going to be a shock. Some of you might fall out of your seat. We typically we have a strategic desire to index anywhere between 1 to 3 of the most relevant PRs for any particular publication. And the reason is there's a misconception, back towards the old days that everything needs to be indexed in order to have any value. There's plenty of Google patents that discuss that authority is passed through non-indexed signals. And although links that are associated with content or anchor tags or content that shows up in Google's, primary index, that's still important. It's just that we've taken a completely different route and path. We're very unique in that we have the primary emphasis on signals. And signals, the vast majority of them, which include traditional content links, but they go well beyond that. Some of the other basic types of signals are image links and sourced videos that are properly attributed. There's literally hundreds of different signal types, transaction signals. So Google Marketplace creates signals that are very unique, that are transactional. They're tied to credit cards. These are things that some of you and even a lot of the SEO community is not aware that they exist. I'll give you guys a preview of some new signals that are coming up in Signal Genesys, which will be very exciting because they're very new. So help desk signals. Everything that we do within Signal Genesys is designed. It's by design to empower you as agencies to better create results for your customers and to do it in a more diversified way, not the stale same way that everyone does, which is just try to index content in the SERP and hope that pushes up traffic and conversions. So nothing against that. That should still always be part of sort of the standard, tactics. But we help generate signals which will never show up in an index. And there's no need to try to index any of the articles in Omega, although that's a good idea. There's no need for that because we're already distributing and we're already submitting the articles in many different ways that are magnifying the signals and not just the SERPs. So I hope that, I hope that helps provide some insight. I know that may be somewhat new, sort of that entire process. It's directly derived from deep studies into how Google goes about doing what they do presently and in the future. There was a massive algorithm update of which we are already prepared for in terms of taking advantage of how that benefits those that are doing proper white hat SEO. Additionally, Lane, when you get a chance, maybe you can get into green hat SEO, which is a term that we have coined. And that directly is referencing evergreen content and evergreen tactics so that you're getting ongoing benefit, because that's the best SEO that you can perform for your clients, right? Evergreen, something that's continuing to accrue over time, and continuing to provide ongoing benefit. And in that case, it absolutely takes good content. I mean, there is a place for quick, off the cuff, get it out, get it done content, just to sort of fulfill. That's relevant, that's keyword centric, that's not overly densified. But if you want evergreen content, evergreen SEO results, it's got to be good content that people are interested in, that they read and dwell upon. Everything that you do does not have to be of evergreen quality. I'll pass it off back to you, Lane.
So, Aiden said, what do you mean by written by third person? Matt, go ahead. I'm going to mute you. So Aiden says, what do you mean by written in third person? So written in third person simply means that the content is not written like, let's say it's written about ABC Plumbers. Written in first person would mean ABC Plumbers is referring to themselves in the content, like we, us, maybe me, my, we. They're referring to themselves in the content. That's first person. When we're writing it in third person, it's as if a reporter or somebody else was writing about the company. So the references are more to them, they, the company itself, and instead of the company referring to itself in the content. So that's first person versus third person. That's the only really requirement that we need besides it being quality content in our platform. Make sure it's written in third person, make sure it's good quality content. Third being, make sure it's not prohibited content, and you're good to go in our platform. So that's what it means by third person. Greg says, I see how powerful Signal Genesis is for local SEO. Can you discuss how Signal Genesis helps in general SEO? I kind of made reference to it, Greg, but this 3-part case study blueprint, or this case study that I did here, I took a page. Okay, again, let's see here. Well, let's take this Google stacking. Okay, this page here, which is a blog article. Okay, this blog article did not exist on day 0. I wrote this blog article and I optimized it according to our blueprint. Okay. I then did 3 consecutive press releases in a stack, which would be basically these steps here, numbers 5 through 9. Write an article, write a second article, write a third article, write a fourth article. Okay. And I did these in a stack. And between the blog article and the 3 successive press releases, I was able to rank this page for a global keyword. Where are we? Where's that keyword? I can't find where. Well, I don't know where I lost my place here. Google stacking. I was able to rank this page here for a global keyword, not a local keyword. There's no map pack in this search result, right? You can see no map pack here. So yes, we can use this for local SEO because we have a number of GMB signals that we're creating through our Google Maps API integration, the ability to use GMB post images and what have you. But I was able to rank a page for a global or national level keyword that does not include any local or map pack result at all in the number 1 spot for multiple keywords in less than 70 days using Signal Genesis. So to your point, how can you use Signal Genesis for general SEO, or in your question, how can we get organic rankings with Signal Genesis, not just Map Pack. And you can do the same. It's really more a matter of, are you running signals to a map listings, or are you running signals to a page, because the page is going to rank, for a national or global keyword versus it being a Map Pack, result for a localized keyword. How I did that is right here in the case study. So watch the 3 videos and you can literally see my process here for how I did it for a national / global keyword organically versus it being for a Map Pack SEO type keyword. So this is a really good case study to actually watch, directly on point to your question. Next question here. Daniela is asking a good question about pricing. So for those of you who are not Signal Genesis agency partners yet, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to go.signalgenesis.com/pricing. I'm going to put this in chat now for everyone, so you guys all have it. So there's the link right now in chat. On our pricing page, number one, we built Signal Genesis for agencies. We did not build this for businesses direct. So our entire platform is oriented and built for agencies. Everything that we do is built from an agency's mindset and perspective in mind. When you get to our pricing page as an agency partner, number one, we have it on the Go subdomain because we don't have this subdomain indexed by Google. Our pricing page is not public. It's not publicly available. No business is going to directly find our pricing page in search results because it's not indexed. Okay. So go.signalgenesis.com/pricing is not an index page, but there you have it. This gives you our 4 different ways or methods of getting into our platform. So we have 2 different components to our pricing. We have access costs and usage cost. So you can access you can get access to the platform for free in our Grow plan, for $300 per month in our Scale plan, or our lifetime access plans, which we have a 12-pay lifetime option or a 1-pay lifetime option. As your access tier goes up from Grow to Scale or from Scale to Elite, your usage costs go down. Okay, so if you come into our free no cost access plan, which is called our Grow plan, there's no access cost. You can get in for free. You can do it tonight. So if you go to go.signalgenesis.com/pricing and you want to get in for free on our Grow plan, you just scroll all the way down and you hit sign up now, and it's going to take you to a form. The form is required on our Grow plan because we don't want anyone and everyone to be able to just get access into our platform. You have to be an agency. So we have this access form here to fill out so that we can ensure that you're an agency, not a direct business. If you actually sign up for one of our paid plans here or here, these 3 options, you're going to get immediate access into the software like you would with any other software. So when you go to sign up now for the Scale plan or either of our 2 Elite plans, as soon as you pay in the sign up form, you're going to get immediate access to your software. So this is what it looks like when you hit sign up for the lifetime 1-pay. You're going to go through a quick 1-2-step process, and then you'll have access to your software. If it's the Grow plan, you got to fill out the form. We've got to quick review it, make sure you're a real agency, and then if that clears, then you'll get instructions on how to go in and get access to the Signal Genesis account on the no cost access plan. Okay, so all of you here tonight, if you If you want access, you can go and get access on our Grow plan, our Scale plan, or our Elite plans. Grow plan is no cost. However, your usage costs, so for instance, the PR publication, that means what does it cost to send out one article of content out to the various news network sites? The cost here is $30 or 30 credits. If you're in our Scale plan, it's half the cost. It's $15 or 15 credits. And if you're in our lifetime access plans, it's $10 or 10 credits. Also, if you're in the Grow plan, the article, the press release will stay live on the news sites for 1 month. If you're in our Scale plan, the article will stay live on the news sites for 3 months. And in the Elite plan, it'll stay live for 6 months. Authorship means the cost for us to write the article for you. You don't have to have us write the article for you. You can bring in your own content directly into your own agency account by hitting create from scratch. So when you hit create from scratch, that means you're going to bring your own content in. That means you've already got it written by somebody else, whoever that may be. If you need a writer to write it for you and you want us to write it for you, you just simply write it for me. And then you fill out the simple form, and the cost of that article is going to be mostly driven by the number of words that you order and how soon or how long the turnaround time is. As you increase number of words, the cost goes up. As you decrease the turnaround time, the cost goes up. As you increase turnaround time, the cost goes down. As you decrease number of words, the cost goes down. So you have both options in our platform. You can either bring your own content in, which is create from scratch, or you can order it from us. When you're ordering it from us, which is authorship cost, your cost for that article to be written for you is going to go down as your plan level goes up. So again, it's the same thing. Grow plan is going to have higher usage costs across the board than the Scale plan. The Scale plan will have higher usage costs than the Elite plan. So those are our 4 pricing plans. We have access cost and we have usage cost. A usage cost is built on or is paid for with credits. So when you go into your Signal Genesys account, you're going to have credits. And you can simply buy more credits as you need for your usage demands. So if 1 month you have more press releases that you need to do because you have more clients or you have new campaigns, you just may simply need to buy more credits for that month to accommodate for the higher level of usage. In a corresponding lower level month where you have lower usage, you just simply have lower levels of credits that you need. Some months you may need to buy more credits, some months you may not need to buy credits. That just depends on your usage. Last thing on pricing, when you join the Scale or monthly plan, you're going to get $200 per month in credits added into your account. You're going to get $100 of app credits added into your account, and you're getting $100 of content credits added into your account. Those credits are then used for your usage. When you have months where you need more than 100 content credits, you just simply buy more credits. If you have a month where you don't use all 100 content credits, not a problem. Those credits simply bank and roll over to the next month. On app credits are used when you simply go into your client entities and you activate app channels. So here's our client entities list. And let's just say for Allura Business Solutions, we wanted to activate the Twitter app account or app channel. I'm sorry. If I activated tier 2, it would cost me 3 app credits because I'm in the lifetime account. Okay. Depending on whether you're in lifetime, elite, scale, or monthly, or grow, the number of app credits that it costs to enable Twitter is going to change depending on your level. So app credits are used to enable app channels in your account. App credits do not roll over month to month. So if you don't use them within the given month, you're going to lose those credits. They renew the next month with another 100 new credits if you're in the scale plan and you need to use them within the month. Content credits do roll over month over month. So you can bank content credits, and month over month, those will build if you don't use them. That was a long answer to pricing, but it is a good question. And our pricing is not as straightforward as, hey, pay $100 a month. This is what you get, right? So we have a lot more going on our platform than just simple access or what have you. So hopefully that helps with the pricing. All right. So a lot of good questions here. Another question is, do the PRs disappear from the news websites you have? So Lauren says, do the PRs actually disappear from the websites, the news websites? The answer is yes, in the allotted time. So if we go here again and we look at PR longevity here, depending on the plan that you're in, the article will disappear from the news sites in 1 month, in 3 months, or in 6 months, depending on your plan. So yes, these news sites don't keep the content on their site forever. If they did, these sites would get just incredibly bloated with web pages because they have so much content coming in on their news sites. So there's news every day. There's press releases coming in every day. And so because of that, there's a longevity to the article, and we actually pay more for the article to be on the news sites live for 3 months versus 6 months. So based on your level, the article stays live for that amount of time. Good question. All right. Patrick says, Matt, I do not know about a national GMB listing. Do you mean a GMB with no address? And by virtual office, do you mean just an e-com site or some other site? Matt says, Patrick, no, the GMB would have a national corporate address leveraging a real office address via Regis or similar. I'll give you this example right here, Patrick. So our white label agency listing, although it has a Raleigh address, which is shown, we're not hiding that address, okay? We are marked, if you were to look at our service area inside GMB, we're marked as servicing the United States, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Australia, all English-speaking countries. So although our GMB listing is a GMB listing with a local address in Raleigh, North Carolina, our GMB listing is set to multiple countries for a service area, number one. And number two, we are showing our address, but you can, whether you show or you hide the address is up to you. National level is really more about the service area that you set to where you're servicing. So that's why I'm giving you this use case. In this case, Quantum Agency, our service area is set to multiple countries, not just set to the United States. So you can set your service area to whatever you want to set it to. Laurent says, is 1 month enough to rank something with it? The answer is yes, it is. There's no doubt that 3 months would be better. I won't tell you that it's not. 3 months is definitely better. 3 months to 6 months, it's debatable whether 3 months or 6 months is better, because we're not sure how much Googlebot actually comes back to these pages after 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. But Googlebot can definitely come back to a page after 1 month to see if that page still exists. And if that content is not live after 1 month, you could lose the benefit of all the links and all the content that was on that page previously. So that's why we at least recommend the scale plan so that you get 3 months of longevity. But you can definitely see rankings with 1 month. To answer your question directly, the answer is yes. Good, better, best. this is good, this is better, this is best. Can you please talk about the white label option ideas for the price? Matt, you want to weigh in here on white label? I mean, it's not live yet. It's coming like in the next like week or 2 weeks here. Matt, you want to chime in here on white label? I asked to unmute you again.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yep, go ahead.
Hello? Sure. But real quick before getting into white label, Ivan had a question about the longevity of a PR and the cost. So he said the grow plan is more expensive. Why does it not last as long? So the answer is the grow plan has no access fee. So the access fee on the scale plan is $300 a month. And so the cost per PR is much lower, and it also includes credits. So the reason it's designed that way is so a newer agency can get going and they don't have to incur the $300 a month expense. The $300 includes, almost the exact amount of credits in terms of content and app credits. So, it's kind of built in PRs, and the cost is much lower. The grow plan allows you to access and just literally join and only do one PR. The reason it's priced that way is because all of the competitor platforms typically start at $50 to $100 for one PR, and that's you writing it. So we know, having done the market research, our cost is still much lower with no entry fee. And in terms of the 1 month, that's the standard publication time for most platforms. We reward the scale and elite plans with a longer time, obviously to incentivize agencies as they grow to scale up and get more benefits. And there's a cost. So, the news agencies and the different networks, there are different fees and things associated with that. So obviously we're just passing that through. But good question. Regarding white label. So it is probably one of the most exciting things that we have coming out. There's numerous benefits, but not the least of which is basically when we do deploy it and we make it available, every agency that takes advantage of it will basically have their own custom application. It's white label is not even an accurate term for it. It's probably the most common way to communicate it, but it is in fact a custom application deployment where your agency is using its own app keys. So every single platform that we typically would connect into through Signal Genesys, your agency would have its own keys, which has numerous benefits, which probably exceed what we need to dive into in this particular podcast session. But needless to say, it's coming out very soon. It could be this month. Definitely November 1 will be launched. We're just trying to work out some final details. So anyone that is interested, keep your eye open because it's only going to be available for a certain number of agencies. That's not artificial. What's the term? Lane?
I don't know what you're trying to communicate.
Scarcity. That's not artificial scarcity. We can only deploy a certain number of agency app instances. So November 1st, we'll definitely be deploying by that point, if not sooner. But anyone that's interested, at least join into the Grow plan so that we have your email address and we send out notifications.
So David says, how many sites in a single publication posted to? So David, we have about 50 sites right now that are in our network. In the news section that populates into the media rooms contains a random sampling, not all of them. If you want to get an actual all of them, you would go to, let's just say, any one of the given press releases that says report available. So any of these blue here, I can come over here and go to report. And then I'm going to have all of the sites here. This is more here than what is actually showing up here in the news section. So this in the news section is randomized article by article. It's randomized in terms of the number that show up here. the order of them showing up here and the actual sites that show up here. So there's like 3 different points of randomization here. But it'll go out to a network of about 50. It'll be picked up and published on, I'd say we always guarantee at least 25. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen less than 25, but 20 to 25 at a minimum, as much as 50. Why the variance? Well, some of these sites may decide that they don't actually like your article. I mean, that's just the truth. We're going to publish it and push it to all of them, but some of them may say, we don't like it. We don't want that article on our specific news site. And that's their prerogative. And that happens. So 25 to 50 is a good range. It'll go out to all 50, but we don't guarantee that it's going to be published on all 50. So 25 to 50 is the range. And your question was, will ranking boost disappear once the PR longevity expires? So that's a really good question, David. So what David's asking there is, okay, so, let's just say I'm, let's just say for argument's sake, I'm in the scale plan as an agency, and I do a press release for a client of mine, and it goes out, and it's out there for 3 months because I'm in the scale plan. And so that article is live on the news sites for 3 months. And then on day 91, the article comes down, right? It's no longer published. It's no longer live on the media sites. And so David's asking, once that happens, what happens? What happens to my rankings once the article comes down? That's a really, really good question, actually. So we've tested this over the last 3 years, and the answer is nothing. Nothing really happens. And that's because Google, we know Googlebot is going and crawling the page and rendering that page for sure, at least once, right? The new article appears, it's out on these live media sites. And so Google goes out and crawls those pages, sees that article. Great, we got it. Now the question is, does Google come back and crawl those pages again? Let's say 60 days later, 90 days later, 150 days later. And the answer is, it could come back and it may not come back. Googlebot, Google, we're not going to be able to control Googlebot to come back to the page 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, or what have you. But what we have seen in practice is that if the content is there at least 3 months, we've never seen a fall off in the rankings, or to your question, David, a boost, right? We don't see a loss in the boost that we saw from that article initially. We don't see that boost retracted or detracted in any way later. So even though the article comes down some point later, we're not seeing a loss in the rankings that we achieved through the publication of that article to begin with. Now, we have always recommended that the article stay live at least 3 months. So that may change a little bit if you're on the grow plan and only with 1 month of longevity. But at 3 months or longer, we've seen no change in the rankings once that article comes off of the live news sites. And that would be simply explained by the fact that you've received the benefit from that article being on all those different news sites. All the signals that were generated and quantified. And 90 days later or 150 days later, Google's not going back, Googlebot's not going back, recrawling that page, going, oh, that page no longer exists. Now let's retract all those signals and the authority that we gave you from that article 90 days earlier. Okay, so that's what we've seen in practice. Whether it happens between 1 month and 3 months, I think there's going to be a little bit of a difference there. But at 3 months to 6 months, no, we have not seen any difference in practice. So really, really good question in terms of just looking at how to evaluate how long do I want this content to stay live on these sites. Mark says, Laurent, I put 2 press releases out and ranked in the organics on page 1, but not for my GMB. But I've done a lot of other things, so I don't know if it was signal or not. Matt says, Laurent, it depends on the niche, existing competitors, overall tactics deployed, website quality, and that's really a good point. There's a lot. I mean, if we look at these categories here, this is just 8 categories. And these are 8 macro categories. As you can see inside each category, there's subcategories. There's all sorts of sub signals that we know Google is looking for. And so it's a lot more complex than just simply saying, hey, I got a website, I got a Google listing, I got a press release. Do we get rankings with 1 press release or with 2 or with 3? There's the questions of how long has that website been live? What state is that Google listing in when we started doing the press releases? Was it optimized? Was it not? Did we do anything new to it? How long has that domain been alive? Historically, is it an 8-year-old domain or is it a 1-year-old domain? And there's so many variables that go into the rankings that it's a lot more murky than just simple black and white. But what we see in practice is between 3 and 6 press releases, 3 and 6 articles on the platform. If you do a good job of what William is teaching, meaning do good keyword research, do good on-page and GMB optimization. If you can nail those 2, once you've got those 2 nailed, then you use our platform for good quality content generation, syndicate that content or distribute that content, and in the process, generate authoritative signals. If you can nail this, you're going to nail your rankings. It's just a matter of how many times you have to syndicate content through our platform before you pop into page 1. Sometimes it's just 1 article. I mean, William, if you were here, I think many of the other students that have been in the classes, they've actually shown their geogrids with number 1s throughout the entire geogrid after 1 press release. I would never tell you to expect that. I would say expect 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 6 on the high end in terms of really, nailing your number 1 spot in the geogrids. But it can happen with 1 only. But typically 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 on the high end in succession. And that is exactly what's being taught here, is publish 1 article, publish a 2nd article 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, publish a 3rd article, publish a 4th article, rinse and repeat if need be, but record your rankings after 4 articles, because typically by the 4th article, you're going to see yourself really, really doing well, as long as you follow the article structuring. You can have really crappy content. I mean, there's nothing that, our platform can still take crappy content and still make crappy content better. But if it were me, I'd rather take really, really good content and push it through our platform, because the really, really good content is going to generate double the amount of signals that crappy content will. So you can take a 500-word article and not do any of this right here that I'm teaching you, and you'll generate maybe 300 signals or so with that article of content, say 500 words. You take that same 500 words and structure it properly the way I'm teaching you here, and you'll generate 600 signals. If you generate 300 signals or 600 signals, that's double, right? That may mean the difference between having to do 6 articles versus 3 articles to get the same rankings. So how you structure your content is just as important as is running the content through the platform to begin with. Trevor says, if content gets removed over time, how do you maintain the results? Well, I kind of went through that. The results aren't changing because Googlebot's not going back, number 1, and crawling all those different media sites. But number 2, All right. Let's remember how we're executing this. We're taking a press release, an article of content, and we're publishing it to the target website first. In other words, we're taking that content and we're immortalizing that content, making it permanent here on the target website. So that article will always be live here on the target website forever. Okay. The signals that are generated off of it from all the different places and different channels and network media sites that we're on are going to be generated. But once they're generated, Google's going to see those, and 3 or 6 months later, even though the article is off of these sites here, 2 things are happening. Number one, the article is still here. The original article is still on the original target website, and that's the most important piece, okay? The source article is here on the source site. Number one. Number two, once the articles come off of these live news sites, we are then sending these links to the archive version of these articles. So let me see if I can find an old article that goes to the archive version. Okay, see here. So I was in the media room and I went to an old article that's over 6 months old. And every time I click on one of these links, it's taking me to the archive of that article. Okay, and here's the archive of that article. So we built this into the platform. So every time that you publish an article through Signal Genesys, that article is going to be published onto our own archive website. We have our own archive, okay? The archive will exist. As soon as the article comes off of the live site, meaning the article now gets pushed off of it's no longer live on EBOC or WDFX or whatever. As you can see here, when you click there, it automatically redirects to the archive of that article. Okay, so what's happening here? Well, number one, we've already exceeded 90 to 120 days in most cases of the article being live on these news sites. So we've gone beyond the time where Google's going to come back and actually crawl these live news sites anyway. So we've exceeded, or we've achieved our maximum amount of signal generation, our maximum amount of authority that we're getting off of these sites. Number one. Number two, the article is permanently published on the target site forever. It's permanently immortalized in the media room article. So it's always there and never going to go away. And number three, there's an archive version of that article on the archive, and all of the news links that then go to archive version point to the archive link of that article. So you're still going to get some residual juice out of this as well. So that's how we account for that dynamic in play of article A goes out to a news site. It's out there for 30, 60, 90, I'm sorry, 30, 90, or 120 days. And what happens with that? And are we seeing any loss of rankings as a result of that article coming off of those news sites at a later date? The answer is no. I gave you the answers as to why, and I gave you some of the answers or mitigating factors of what we do to influence that as a result. Lauren says, so those websites are not your property. Is that correct? That's correct, Lauren. These news sites here that are in the news, these are not our websites. These are not a private blog network. We don't control any of these domains. They are a third-party website, third-party news website, news platform. Some of them are actual TV news affiliates in local markets. Some of them are radio stations, but we do not own or control any of these sites, which is why they're not PBNs. They're very powerful third-party authority sites. Ivan says it's not clear why the growth plan has less longevity when it has a bigger price for PR usage, because that's what we choose. I mean, that's the honest price. This, if you want to get into our platform and you want longer PR longevity, then get into a paid plan. That's the simple choice. If you want to get in at no cost, then understand that your longevity is going to be less, and we incentivize our users to get into a paid plan versus the free plan with those features. So that's the reason why, is because we want to incentivize our users to become paid users, because we're a for-profit company too. Trevor says, can we use the as seen on logos for the bigger affiliate? Yes, you absolutely can. Good question, Trevor. In fact, if you go into the knowledge base, so once you get your account, if you go into the knowledge base and you go to marketing, as featured on right here, we actually provide them for you too, or at least some of them. So you can download the link for vertical and horizontal versions of the as featured on, and that's just one version. You can use whatever you want, but the answer to your question is yes, you absolutely can, because once you get published, or once that article is published the first time, it's going to be out on an NBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox type of site. So you can use the as featured on with the logos on the website. I think I already showed this, but I'm pretty sure for this client, here, as featured on or as featured in. So there's that one. Oop, wrong one. Showing you guys another one here, just all right, typing it wrong. As seen on here. Okay, so yeah, the answer is yes, you can use the as featured on, no problem. Ivan says, I don't still see the value for the growth plan. Google dance for at least 21 days, and then we lose the links. So Ivan, if you don't see the advantage of getting into the growth plan, then let's get in the scale plan. Then your longevity gets to 3 months, and then you have no issues with your question. David says, thank you. You've been super helpful and thorough in your explanation. Super appreciate you guys taking time. Hey, thanks, David. Appreciate that. Let's see if we can find any other questions here. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it for questions. We've very much gone over our time. We usually go about an hour, so we're at an hour and a half here. Really good questions tonight, folks. Really appreciate the questions and the engagement here. If you still have questions or there's something that we failed to address tonight, by all means, just hit us up on our Facebook page or DM me directly. I'm in the GMB Masterclass Reloaded group and the main group as well, so you can also DM me. But super happy to address any other questions you guys might have if we missed them tonight. But thank you for your time and attention. And is there anybody else that's got a question or anything else you want to say?
We talked about doing a surprise for Williams Group. So everyone that has not signed up on Grow Plan, anyone that signs up between now and tomorrow morning, let's get to help with Ivan. We'll give them 60-day publishing on PRs. So anyone that signs up on Grow Plan between now and the morning, which is free to sign up, obviously, we'll change your plan to where it'll give you 2 months worth of publishing time. Indefinitely, only for Williams Group. So if you want to post the link, anyone that we see that signs up, we'll upgrade them.
So if you sign up for a Grow Plan, I'll put the Grow. You got to fill out the form here. I'll put this in the chat here. Complete the form tonight. before you guys go to bed. And once we get these forms, we'll approve you. We'll send you the link. So you're going to get a link from us in response to you filling out this form with a link to go ahead and create your account. We'll tag those accounts to get 60 days of live PR longevity instead of 30 days per according to what Matt just said. So make
All
sure.
right,
Also,
Ivan said he already signed up. All right, Ivan, you're gonna have to post your some other information privately to us, like your email address, so we can upgrade you, because that's funny.
yeah, when you put in here, how did you hear about us? Just put in William Jones or William Jones GMB group or whatever. Also, just one other thing, because we're on this here, if you sign up for a scale or elite account, we will add $100 of credits into your account for being part of Williams group. So no matter whether you sign up for grow, scale, or whatever, let us know you're in Williams group. If you sign up for one of the pay accounts, DM me or let me know that you've signed up and that you're from Williams group. I'll add an extra $100 of credits into your account. So that's one of the bonuses that we do for Williams group that we don't give out to the general public. So if you sign up for a grow account, let us know you're in Williams group. We'll give you 60 days instead of 30 days. And then if you sign up for one of the paid plans, let me know. I'll add an extra $100 into your accounts once you've actually paid and signed up. So anything else, Matt?
No.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot for time, attention tonight. If there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. I guarantee if you use Signal Genesys and you use it the way we teach you, you will absolutely get and drive page one rankings for your client campaigns, and way easier than doing guest post blogging, manual link building, and all other sorts of stuff out there that just is kind of wonky and extra work, manual work. Try our platform. You'll get great results. Thanks for your time and attention tonight. Have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.